Hello and welcome to Building Foundations. I'm joined by Veleta Brown today, a Chartered Project Manager. I'm really excited to have a chat with Veleta, but first of all, I will let her introduce herself. So yeah, if you could introduce yourself and explain a little bit about what you do.
Hi there, and my name's Veleta Brown. I'm 36 years old and I'm from the West Midlands and I'm a construction project manager. I'm currently contracted to Rugby Borough Council and working on some regeneration and garage site projects.
So you're not too far away from me. I'm East Midlands, so Lincolnshire for me.
Yeah, that's
so
right. That's
yeah,
not far.
Yeah, not far at all. Best place to start really for listeners is you've explained about what you're doing currently and what your job role is. So how did you get into the construction and property industry initially?
So what it was, I was actually an IT project manager and I'd done a degree and a master's in technology project management. However, my granddad lives in Jamaica, so I travelled there a lot. So once I was there, I was given the opportunity to do some voluntary work on a project doing construction and extension of a hotel and some apartments. So after a couple of doing that for a while, I just decided that I enjoyed the feeling of making that change that lasts for years. So I decided when I was come back to the UK, masters in construction and try and enter the market. That was about 2017.
Fantastic. So you did your masters before beginning like an official role within project management in the UK then, is that?
Yeah, I was undertaking my master's role as an assistant.
So in terms of, I mean, obviously sounds great, and I'm sure doing projects in Jamaica was definitely different to in the UK.
Yeah.
So if you mind, just give a little bit of an explanation, I guess, how the main difference is really.
I'd say the critical difference is health and safety. Yeah. In the UK, we're centred on health and safety. Abroad, their health and safety is like not important. Like there's loads of moments when you have to close your eyes, cover your face, thinking there's going to be a disaster because they really don't have that awareness of health and safety and regulations as we do.
I think I've kind of heard that quite a bit actually from people that I've worked with that have that experience overseas as well. And you mentioned that the project management side started when you got involved in, well, obviously the IT, and then when you got involved in the projects in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. Do you think you went into project management? Did you specifically sort of choose that as an arena, or do you think that you almost sort of fell into it from the IT side? What would you?
No, I actually, my auntie used to be a project manager. Okay. So when I was little, seeing her travel and the things that it brought to her life, I've always been a manager. And when I went to uni, I actually done a few of the modules just to see how I was, and I was getting A's, so I just saw that as that I was destined to go down that path.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's good. So what, I mean, in terms of being a project manager then, if you had to describe like, your favourite things about being a project manager and, favourite things you've experienced and all the pros, if you were to say you were having this conversation with somebody who was considering going to university and was a bit unsure what to do, how would you sell it to them? What do you think?
I would say it's definitely something you should do because it allows you to build, meet some really good people and be involved in some projects that are not just making minor changes that last for years to come, maybe after you've not left the earth, especially in construction as opposed to IT, but in IT just the same, to know that you've implemented a system and things that contribute to the success of companies and some really corporate companies, very rewarding and fulfilling.
Absolutely. I bet it gives you that sense of pride afterwards, doesn't it?
And
it's like always been able to go back and say, I did that. I was part of that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What do you think the best project you've worked on so far is? Do you have one in mind that kind of like is your favourite?
I'd say doing the garage sites that I'm doing currently at the council, because it's just variety. You get to put your personality, your mark on these projects, because obviously you get to make some critical decisions. That feels good that you're trusted with those decisions.
And in terms of your project management, you're working on a freelance basis now then, aren't you?
Yeah.
And prior to that you were employed. So how come you made that transition to freelance, and And what are the pros of being freelance, do you think?
I think because my contract was like 3.5 hours away from where I lived, so I would stay away from home Monday to Thursday. And obviously I've got 2 children. So I didn't mind doing it at first because obviously I was grateful to get the opportunity. But after a while, then I felt that because I got promoted from assistant to project manager quite quickly, I then took an opportunity to come closer to home. To be fair, when I applied for the role, I didn't actually think I would get it. So.
Yeah. But here you are, you got it. I can understand that, definitely, because obviously sort of running my own business, I have that more flexibility, and I have children as well. So there's definitely perks there. If you were to speak to somebody who was employed now and was thinking, maybe I, consider going freelance, what would be advice to them in terms of like getting set up and making it work? Because that's the hardest part.
I would say that it's good to ensure that you've set the business model and started working on the freelance part some way to know that you're going to get the traction, and because you don't really want to leave yourself, especially if you've got children and stuff, at that financial shortfall. So it's just making sure that crossover. But like, as I said, when the industry is quite big, so it's not difficult. It's just making sure you got your marketing and certain things. Always promote people doing freelance, not just freelance, because I started off freelance, but I'm actually in the process of setting up an actual consultancy, because then what it does is then opens up the opportunities for us to then give opportunities to other people more who may not get into space. And that's the way I love that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a really good way of doing it. So do you think that's if we're looking a little bit at the future then, so you want to bring people on board with you and build that, under your name?
Yeah, on my consultancy, and then obviously I have a CIC helping young people in construction. So I want to help young people and then bring them through onto the main projects my consultancy has, so they can actually get real experience.
Fantastic. And we'll talk about the that side of things as well in a little bit, because I saw that from your LinkedIn profile. I think it's great, so we'll go into details for people listening as well. If we go back to the project management things, I saw, I think on LinkedIn, you going through the route of becoming an assessor, aren't you, with the RICS?
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, I'll pass that training now.
Perfect. Well done. Yeah. Was that, in terms of your motivation to go through that, what was the thinking behind it?
Number one, I think that when I done my APC and had my assessment, I had a mix of younger and older faces on the panel. So I feel like I'm doing that to put that diversity into the panel, and also because it's a way of giving back and making a contribution to the future of the profession, and just giving back, really. I like to give back because I feel like the profession's given me a lot in a short time. So yeah,
really gratitude. Well, haven't you? In terms of where you're at and the qualifications you've got. And I think, yeah, you're right, giving back wherever you can is something that everybody should try and do. So, yeah, really commend that. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to speak to you as well. So one of the questions that I ask on here is about the APC, because obviously it's quite a lengthy process. It takes a lot of commitment. And usually people are doing that alongside working and family commitments, etc. So how was that process for you?
I wouldn't say it's easy, but I think the critical thing is the support you have. So my counsellor and my supervisor was the same person. He's a gentleman who's been in the profession for like 45 years. So for me personally, and the dedication he committed and the time and stuff he committed to my APC helped me. I couldn't have possibly got through it without that support. And then plus I had a few people from RICS, Kate, Danny, who helped me along the way. So I don't think I'd have gone through that process without those crucial people.
Yeah, so you think it's about, advice for anybody going through it then would be to get the right network around you that can support.
Yeah, because what it is, obviously we know the know, but it's about how to deliver it, how to structure it, and have it in a way that's going to be acceptable for the successful completion of your APC. Yeah.
How did you find the interview process when you got to that part?
I was shaking, and I thought it was going to be worse than it was. So I didn't sleep for about 4 days. But then as soon as the panel started talking, the way that the panel interacted just makes you feel calm and forget the nerves by the time you start delivering your presentation. So it was quite good.
No, that's good. So I think I think everyone I've spoken to as well has been very nervous leading up to it. But I guess your advice to anybody going through the process, what would you think your key bits of advice would be to them, other than obviously right network, but I mean, in terms of preparing for that interview and that process itself?
I'd say you need to know your stuff inside and out. You can't rely on anything. Like you'll summary recite that basically, or not word for word, but summarize that without the need for any papers. And it's just knowing your project, looking at it from all angles, and preparation is key. You can't afford to leave it to the last minute. It's incremental preparation that needs to be done. Because it may seem like, oh, I'm doing this work now and it's not till next year, but it all builds up because you could not possibly try to squeeze all that knowledge in too short a time.
Absolutely. Preparation is key.
Yeah.
Right network around you. Those two things, absolutely key. How did you find the wait to find out if you became chartered then? It
was because the thing is, you don't ever know. They don't give you any indication. So you're sitting there and one part of you feels like, no, I think I did enough. I was confident. They didn't things wrong. But then the other part of you is like, no, because if I get like that and then I'd get a fail, I'm going to be devastated. It's really nerve-wracking. Again, I didn't sleep.
Was it about a week wait then, or?
Yeah, seven.
Yeah. So 7 days of barely any sleep, worrying about what was to come. But obviously, it was good news. So how did you feel when you got I guess it was an email, was it, and then got that confirmation?
I actually felt so speechlessly joyed. But the thing is, it makes all that hard work worth it. That's the thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, the reward is 100% worth it. And well done you, because obviously you said you've got little ones, haven't you? And balancing everything it's tough, isn't it? It's tough.
And I've got a few other companies as well that I do. So yeah. Sometimes I don't know how I do it, but I do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you do it either, and especially with lack of sleep during that process. That doesn't help, does it? But you're there and you've done it, which is fantastic. So I guess, qualification side then. So you obviously become chartered. You've now passed to become an assessor, which is fantastic. You got your masters. Is there any other project management related qualifications that you've obtained so far?
I have. I'm a member of the APM and I have PMP. I may want to do the chartership for CILB future. I think I'm giving myself, because I've been doing education quite a lot, I'm going to give myself a year or two to just
just enjoy the actual job and yeah. So how was the process to, obviously you PMP, didn't you said, and how was your process through those qualifications?
I self-studied for that. Bought a course that was self-study. So that was quite okay, because I have been studying project management since my BA. A lot of the things in the PMP I was quite familiar with, so it wasn't so. The only thing for me is because when you have a test, you never know the score, so you can never be sure. That's the bit. So that bit was just the anticipation. Yeah,
that's the worst. If I kind of go back to university or even driving tests and things, it's daunting, isn't it? So I can only imagine. And would you say those qualifications have helped you actually in the day-to-day role? Would you advise other sort of budding project managers to do them, or?
Hello?
Oh, sorry, did you catch me?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't catch that, sorry.
That's all right, no problem. With regards to those project management qualifications, the specific ones that we just talked about, would you advise other sort of budding project managers to do those? Do you think they've helped your career so far?
Yeah, because obviously throughout my career, I have met a few assistant project managers who I all advise to if they ask for it. So I would, depending on the industry they're in, I would advise them, because for me, I have heard a lot of widespread talk that university doesn't always result in jobs or progression in the career. But for me, university has changed my whole life. From doing the IT to the construction, these qualifications have got me to where I am today and allowed me to have opportunities and enter into doing into arenas that I probably wouldn't have them. So I think not all professions require them, but something like project management, it's just, it's giving them the confidence in your competency.
Absolutely. And I agree with you too, because obviously from a recruitment perspective, I speak to people within the industry every day, and some do say, I don't think going to university would help me get to where I am now, but I think university, even if you do something that's completely relevant to what you do now, which is what I did, I think it can still teach you so much. There's so many things that you get from it, isn't there? And absolutely.
Even just your way you think, your mindset, it gives you a critical, analytical mindset that you probably wouldn't have if you didn't go through that journey. So you can always take any experience or anything that you do in life is for no reason. We might not always have the outcome we originally planned, but that we can always take a positive lesson for the future from there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that one. If we look then at, obviously you're a female in the construction and property industry. How was that journey been? Do you think there's been, any differences between whether, being a female in the industry, really? How's your experience been?
Been difficult. Yeah. Because I'm a female and I'm obviously a black female. So it's, and obviously we know basically construction is a male and a white male dominated industry. So it has been very hard. I've had some quite negative experiences. However, for me, life is about balance. So the good teaches you, the good is a blessing and the bad is a lesson. And some of those negative experiences haven't affected me as much. And I know I'm determined to make it in my career. So some of them, though there have been obstacles that haven't been easy or nice to have to overcome, I'm glad I have overcome them, because not only does it show other women intimidated in a male-dominated industry, it shows you that as long as you are putting the work and you're good at what you do, you can still break those barriers that others can't. It's just about not being disheartened by the challenges, because some people get disheartened by the challenges. They don't then overcome the barrier. So it's just fighting through. But if you really, because I'm passionate about construction and about what I do, that gives me the motivation and drive. So these things don't have such a negative impact on me when they surface.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously it's awful that you've been through some negativity towards that, because it should 100% it should be about whether you can do the job and who you are as a person. Nothing else should matter. Absolutely not. And I think, again, that's why I wanted to have a chat with you, because I think as an industry, I think more needs to be done, doesn't it, for the diversity and inclusion kind of side of things?
Yeah, I definitely do, because there's so many people from different races, backgrounds, sexual orientations that have got such to give and are very good at what they do. So I don't think that should matter. It should be about your competence to do that role, the way you carry yourself, your professional acumen. That should be all that matters. Everything else shouldn't play a role, because at the end of the day, the goal is to build building or whatever the goal is. So that's all that matters. But I think that it's also from the flip on the other side. I look at things from both sides. On the other side, it's just what's been known in the industry. It's always been that way. So I know that people are hard to adapt to change, and it's not that they don't like women or they don't want women in industry. It's just that they're not used to working that way, so they find it hard to adapt to changing and that kind of thing. So it's difficult for some of those older executives too, because they're having to adapt to a change that most of their career hasn't been that way as well.
I agree, and that's a good way to look at it. I think looking at it from both sides, and I guess in terms of what else you think could be done to kind of improve things, so to speak. I think I had these conversations on some of the other episodes I've recorded, because we've talked about, for example, going right back to the roots almost in terms of actually attracting people into the industry to begin with. Because when I was at school and even when I went to university, I didn't actually really know what a surveyor does or a project manager does. It was, and obviously I didn't study that field, and I think if looking back I'd known about it, probably would have, because it was really interesting, but you're not really taught about it at school. I think I knew what a bricklayer was, and that's about it. What else do you think?
Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a two-pronged approach here, because the first thing is within industry, I think younger people of a younger age need to be in executive positions where they're making decisions that have a more widespread effect and impact. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because we need that innovation. We're in an innovative industry. We've got things like BIM that's taking over, and a lot of the older executives, they're not very technologically savvy. So it's about letting younger people have a role in those executive positions to give those people guidance and advice of how to keep up to date and have a sustainable competitive advantage. But also on the flip side, I'm like, anything I know about building growing up is that you can be a bricklayer, carpenter, or a plumber, those things. Like, and especially when you're from certain areas or certain backgrounds where you don't have a family member who's been in the building industry, it's awareness. But that's why my CIC Elevate the Youth. So basically we go out and we target areas where there's like low unemployment, areas where there's high knife crime, because a lot of these young people, when I was doing my research for the company, they're not aware of the abundance of careers available. And when they are aware, it draws their interest. Like, there's a lot of boys, when you speak to them about, and they do my program and it shows them the day in the life of a QS, for example, they start to realize that their knowledge of being able to be out on the street and add up things, that could be a transferred skill to now be adding up building projects as a QS if you went down that road. But a lot of them only think you can be the physical ones in the construction. And there's so many more abundance of roles that would open up so many opportunities to young people that I think that we need to really have a focus on that area.
Absolutely, and I think that will in turn help with the diversity and inclusion piece, won't it? Because it will bring people in from all backgrounds, that, you know, with the common goal of making a difference. And that leads on then. So your program Elevate the Youth. Talk to us about that. You know, what you do and what it offers, and
so basically, Elevate the Youth CIC is a community interest company. I originally started it with the sole aim of promoting construction careers. So we have programs where we go through different construction careers and then show them videos and have speakers to tell them about the different careers. And then the young people can actually go do a little assessment that would then show them which career or path would be good for them. We also have challenges that we do and holiday clubs and things, and we do events. Like, we have an event now called Put Down the Knives, Take Up Some Tools, which we're launching in the West Midlands and London. So it's just drawing them in. But then we also going to be doing in the next few months is, when we get them in, we will then be able to provide training and like opportunities to work on projects. So we're filling that whole cycle.
Okay, yeah. Fantastic.
Because what I've found is a lot of young people, though they go college and do construction or things to do with built environment, then not many companies are giving them those opportunities to gain the actual work experience that's needed.
Yeah. I think that is definitely where I see a gap as well. I have quite a few graduates or people kind of finish college reaching out to me, and they're looking for opportunities. And as a recruiter, obviously companies don't tend to come to us to look for people at graduate level, really, because they usually have links with universities and things. But there is a lot of people falling through the net there that probably have a lot of potential, but just aren't being given that opportunity. So with Elevate the Youth, then, is it something that's open to other professionals in the industry to kind of get involved in and help you out with in terms of helping educate people?
Yeah, I've had quite a few people reach out on LinkedIn, because we also do root cause mentoring. Because what I found is, doing these programs, especially in the schools, a lot of the young people have a lot of barriers that need to be overcome, because we know industry is not easy. You need to have certain resilience. So we also do like the culture of construction, mindset training and resilience and those sort of things. So we also, in line with the construction programs, we do a program called Root Cause Active Therapy, whereby we do one-to-one or group sessions to get to the root cause of the issues, teach young people strategies, techniques to deal with certain issues, not just now, but going forward for the rest of their lives, because these things then prepare them to go into industry with the right mindset, and then they don't face certain barriers that will, if they're not prepared, will obviously knock them and can dishearten somebody, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. No, That's a really, I mean, I hadn't even thought about, that side of things. That's a really, really useful thing to be able to offer, and also, obviously, just not just useful, but very valuable. Did you, this program itself, Elevate the Youth, then, did you kind of come up with the concept yourself? Is this all of if you're doing alongside being a project manager?
So I basically had an idea of something that I wanted to do something with the youth in 2017. That's when I registered the company. But obviously, because I was doing uni and stuff, I utilized that time to do a lot of research because I wanted it to be centered around the needs of young people. So I've done a lot of research with young people. I then had a bit of a break between jobs, like a bit of a break where I wasn't really actively working, probably about a year and a half ago for a few weeks. And then I just thought, let me put it out there. And when I did, it obviously took off a lot quicker than I had planned and anticipated. So now I'm always welcome for any industry professionals who want to get involved, give talks, or any part of the company, because it's always a help.
Absolutely. Well, when I release this podcast, if it's okay with you, I'll put sort of a link to further details, and then anybody that's listening that wants to get involved can reach out to you.
Yeah, we do have a website. It's www.elevatetheyouthcic.org.uk.
Sounds very exciting. So you've got obviously a few things in the pipeline on that side of things too, and you freelance project management, and obviously being a parent too. So is there anything else going on in your world in the construction and property industry at the moment, or anything else you're involved in?
No, just trying to be a construction training provider for the people, and then we're going to do an event for the girls, because obviously I'm an advocate for that, and there's a lot of young girls that we've met along the way doing these programs who all they just need is a bit of direction and support, and they're really, really passionate and have that production. So it's just about building networks with other organisations, because I believe that these issues can only be overcome collaboratively. My company alone can't fix things, other companies, but collaboration is the key. It's like it takes a community to raise a child, it takes a community to make a change, and a group of companies and collaboration to make a change, industry-wide change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got to, one person can't fix everything, but you've got the great foundation, the great ideas there, and obviously keen enthusiasm for it. And it's just getting everything to work together, isn't it? A bit like in project management, really. So we've obviously talked then about diversity and inclusion and getting people into the industry. What other challenges do you think the construction industry as kind of a whole is going through at the moment, or may go through, over the course maybe the next 5-10 years?
I just think it's the change, because construction is one of those things. It's a building. People think you can just build the same way, but there's loads of innovative solutions. I did my dissertation on building information modeling, so I'm aware of loads of technologies that can help streamline the process. Obviously, these are some of them are emerging technologies and not widespread. So I think that these things are going to come through and are going to streamline and change the whole way that industry's handled and how projects are delivered. And then with things like modern methods of construction that cut the speed and you can have a building delivered to site, these things will involve the industry in a positive way that will resolve a lot of things quicker, like homelessness, young people moving out of care. They can have supported housing complexes and things put up quicker that then can make an impact in the community. Because for me, I'm passionate about construction, but I'm just as passionate about community. So I always try to bring the two together.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really disheartening, obviously, to see people in awful situations, and I think anything that you can do to help is hugely beneficial. So one of the challenges then is kind of getting that technology out there, getting people using it, getting people actually willing to try and use it as well, and training people on it. Would you say there's any other challenges that you foresee other than obviously the pandemic that we're in at the moment?
Apart from what, as I said earlier, people not being able to break past a certain point, I think more people need to be given executive level opportunities, as opposed, because it's fine, everybody's opportunity to get to a certain level, but then when you try to go past that barrier, it becomes a problem. A lot of the time, where I think that a lot more young people, I'm not saying have all young people up there, but I think even if it's in an advisory capacity, because obviously these young people are more savvy than a lot of us older ones with technology adapting to change and adapting to change just day to day. Like, we're in the pandemic, no one anticipated this, and just having that's another barrier. But other than that, to be fair, it is an industry that has a lot of opportunities, and if everyone plays fair and everyone treats others how they would like to be treated, I think there's enough scope for everybody to have, lots of people to have successful careers without too many critical barriers that are going to stop them. It's be more down to how much you put in is going to be how much you get out.
Absolutely. And going back to that, getting some younger people into those like advisory positions, that's kind of a concept that they use at school, isn't it, really, where they have like committees, which is some of the school pupils from kind of each tutor group or each year group, and they're discussing ideas and things they can implement, and then they're chatting with the teachers about it, and the head teacher. So it's kind of that concept, isn't it? Something that is in place in other areas that would be really great.
Exactly. That's exactly what you just said. It would be very effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Really good way to look at it. So the future of the industry then, obviously, is all these different things we've talked about. What about the future for you then? Is it just about obviously continuing your project management side, continuing the assessing, getting started on the assessing side of things now you've passed, and then building elevate the youth and getting more people involved? Is there anything else that you think is in your future for this?
Yeah, just trying to get some live projects of our own so we can give opportunities to the young people, keep promoting the industry. I also do research on things like alternative buildings, materials and things like that. So it's just basically continuing to look at ways that we can make the industry better, make buildings more sustainable, make quicker delivery, and just keep up, and then providing opportunities every step along the way.
And I guess to finish off then, if you had to give any advice to anybody even can kind of consider in the industry, other than the things that we've kind of talked about, but what would be your top 3 pieces of advice you'd give somebody considering it?
I'd say to go for it, because it's no 2 days are the same. It's got that variety. It allows you to put your stamp, as we said earlier, and feeling of contributing to a long-term solution is very good. And just because you start off in one position in construction, it's such a broad industry that you have that chance to move around and experience lots of different things. So I would say go for it. I love it. I would not change any of my experience for at all, the good, the bad, or the ugly, because it's all made me the project manager and chartered surveyor I am today. It's an industry where I wish I had got into a lot earlier than I did, because I love it. I love it. I have no regrets at all.
I see on LinkedIn, obviously, you're quite active on there, built obviously quite a good presence on there. You were actually recommended to speak to as well. So you're clearly doing something right and making good impressions, and speaking to you is opened up lots of different things I hadn't even thought about. And also, it's just really evident how passionate you are about it, and how much you want to make a difference. And that's really commendable. And that's what this podcast is about, speaking to people that do want to make a difference. So that's great. And finishing up, if people wanted to reach out to you and ask you advice or anything like that, would that be okay? And what would be the best way to do that?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best way. Yeah, Veleta Brown on LinkedIn. But I'm always happy to give advice. I always make time. If anyone needs any help with APC, no counsellor, anything that I can help to enhance another person, and I'm willing to do that. And also, I would like to thank you for having me on, because without you doing things, people like you doing these podcasts and taking your time out from your day and your family, we wouldn't be able to make it. Another contribution to making the industry a better place, and keeping a good reputation for the industry for the future. So I'm thankful for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you so much for giving me time. And this podcast is just about having chats with people like you to try and make a difference. I might not be a project manager or a surveyor, but I recruit in the industry, so I am passionate about it. And be great to make differences.
And your role is just as crucial, because without you recruiting, we wouldn't be able to fulfill the roles that we need in a timely fashion. So it's no less than a project manager. Everyone's role works towards the bigger goal. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been lovely to speak to you, and I will leave your details on this podcast so that people can get in touch with you. And we're connected now, so hopefully we can keep in contact as well. But yeah, thank you very much for your time. I know you're busy.